Good evening. We'll call this meeting to order. If we have a roll call, please.
All right. Marilyn Kramer.
Here.
Kate Nelson.
Here.
Kyle West.
Here.
Francine Donchik.
Here.
Mark Johnson.
Here.
Peter Gower. Here. Sarah Chivilicek.
Here.
Sylvia Villanueva.
Here.
And Shelley Reed. Here. All right. We have a quorum.
We have a full quorum. Wow.
Yeah.
Shelley, would you lead us in the pledge?
Please join me in the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Donchik, I move to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Item 4, public comment. Do we have any public comment?
We have received none at this time.
Okay, moving on. Business of the day.
Oh, we have approval of the minutes.
I just crossed it off. I'm sorry. See, I'm just going so fast. I told you I was going. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the December 22nd meeting.
Madam Chair, move to approve. Commissioner
Thank
Gower.
you.
Commissioner Villanueva, second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion.
Commissioner Nelson abstains.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6. Business of the day.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeremy Smith for the record. We're into the item 6A, which is a public hearing, a regional plan conformance review, City of Reno Master Plan amendment for the Panther Valley Flex Park. We have regional planner Chris Tolley take us through. There we go.
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. Chris Tolley, Team RPA. This item is a conformance review of the Panther Valley Flex Park amendment to the City of Reno Master Plan. First, the overview. The proposal is an amendment to the City of Reno Master Plan to change the land use on the subject site from suburban mixed use to industrial. The subject site is approximately 4.41 acres in size and is located in Tier 2, as you can see on the regional form map. Reno City Council approved the proposal at their December 14th meeting. And the site is located just north of the intersection of Panther Drive and Highway 395. And finally, regional planning staff recommends that the proposed amendment to the City of Reno Master Plan conforms with the 2019 Truckee Meadows Regional Plan. The review criteria. So policy RC9 of the 2019 Regional Plan sets a review criteria for a conformance review, which is listed on this slide. We will go over the analysis presented in the staff report on the following slides. In regards to population growth, the request includes a minimal decrease in density from a regional perspective, and thus will not create any appreciable change to projected housing capacities. As noted, the subject site is located in Tier 2, and the proposal is appropriate within this tier. The compatibility of the proposed land use change with the surrounding parcels will be addressed by the City of Reno through a site plan review process, which would be required for any development on the site under this land use. Finally, considering the existing residential uses immediately adjacent to the subject site, the change makes sense from a regional perspective. In regard to public facilities and services, materials submitted by the City of Reno indicate that the public facilities and services will be available and adequate to serve the project, as required by policy PF1. Existing infrastructure serving the surrounding parcels is already in place, and the facilities to serve and support the proposal can be accommodated. Additionally, a regional utility corridor is located on the western edge of the subject property, which abuts Highway 395, and is not proposed to be relocated as part of the overall or the proposal. In regards to natural resources, the proposal is not anticipated to significantly impact natural resources. And finally, we found no applicable policies beyond the review criteria policy listed in the regional coordination section. So in conclusion, staff recommends that the proposal conforms with the applicable policies of the regional plan. And the proposed motions listed on the slide, that does conclude, or on page 9 of the staff report, that does conclude my presentation. However, TMRPA and City of Reno staff are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing item. Before we do that, is there any disclosures by commissioners? Do we have any public hearing on this item?
We have no public comment for this item.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I
Oh,
do.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, good evening. So with regard to the regional form, can you elaborate a little bit on, I mean, it says here that it was previously designated at one point for housing, and now, because that wasn't built, now industrial is appropriate? I don't know, can you elaborate on that?
Sure. I think from our perspective, in the attempt to build on the property, again, from the regional perspective, the fact that an entitlement, a residential entitlement was approved on the site and wasn't built says that it didn't necessarily pencil from that perspective. So the industrial makes sense in terms of the regional perspective, considering that, and then also the proximity to the industrial uses that exist in that little pocket.
What year was that?
I believe it was 2018.
Okay, so 2018, it, for some reason, we don't know why, potentially didn't pencil out, so,
Yeah, exactly. And that
Okay.
was based off the materials submitted to us from the city of Reno.
okay. And then what about the population? So you guys, so this is no longer going to be used for housing. I mean, if we make this change, housing in industrial zones don't typically, you can't build housing in an industrial zone. Is that right?
I guess it would, yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assumption. I think, it would, if somebody wanted to come back and change the land use again on the subject site, they could certainly go through that process to change it back to residential at some point in time. But we are looking at residential in proximity, I guess that would be the northern border. And that is, there's a portion I think it was in the staff report, as well as, it was definitely in the staff report in the presentation, but compatibility of the residential with any future industrial use of the site would be addressed through the site plan review process at the city of Reno.
Yeah. With regard to population growth, the way, I mean, I know we talked a little bit, I think at the last meeting regarding population growth. Given population growth and what we anticipate, I mean, what's the perspective with regard to housing and whether or not we would need housing rather than industrial?
This brings up another good point, and I might ask the director to weigh in on the actual population, but we're looking region-wide at something of, I wouldn't say necessarily a shortage, but industrial sites are not as common. So we see some changes, and I think primarily the large parcels, so this one may not be kind of in that trend, but a switch to industrial, I think, region-wide is something that makes sense based off of the limited amount of the total number of industrially designated areas. And then we also have a large number of residential units on the books, and I'll let you go into the actual details, but.
Sure, thank you, Chris. Yeah, it's Jeremy Smith for the record. So I think that is the bit of the line of reasoning. We have about double the residential entitlements existing within the TMSA than the consensus forecast is predicting population growth needs over the next 20 years. So we have quite a bit of residential land entitled. It's not all servable by infrastructure and services at this moment, but it has gone through the master planning process. Well, the last time we looked closely at vacant industrial land, it constituted about 3% of the vacant land in the TMSA. So that's probably one of the lowest categories we have in terms of vacant land.
Okay. So thank you. I appreciate it. I'm probably going to hold off for now, but I don't know if now's the appropriate time, but I have some concerns, so I'll just share that right now. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Okay, so we are at that point to entertain a motion on this proposal.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Donchik,
Thank you.
I prepared to do a motion. I move to find the Panther Valley Flex Park Amendment to the City of Reno Master Plan in conformance with the 2019 Truckee Meadows Regional Plan based on the findings listing in the staff report.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Commissioner Gower will second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
This is Commissioner
Commissioner
Villanueva,
Villanueva.
if I may, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So my concern is population growth. I would like to know more about, well, I don't know if now's an appropriate time now that we've passed the questioning portion, but the federal census numbers that came out in 2020, I'd like to know a little bit more specifics about those and compare that with the numbers that we have locally. And I don't know that those numbers are as close as we identified them to be in the last meeting. So I have concerns with that, and I just think that site should remain suburban mixed use rather than industrial for those reasons. Plus, I don't believe that it does match the regional growth plan. So I would be a no on this. Thank you.
Any other discussion? So I'll call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I posed.
So nay. Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you. Item B, Director Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeremy Smith for the record. Item 6B is another public hearing, a regional plan conformance review. This time, City of Sparks Comprehensive Plan Amendment for 1845 Glendale. And Chris will do this one as well.
Hello again. Chris Toy, Team RPA. So this item is a conformance review of the 1845 Glendale Amendment to the City of Sparks Comprehensive Plan. The proposal is an amendment to the City of Sparks Comprehensive Plan to change the land use from tourist commercial to industrial. Subject site is approximately 1.91 acres in size and is located in Tier 1, as you can see on the regional form map. Subject site is located at 1845 Glendale Avenue in Sparks, and the City of Sparks generally submits comprehensive plan amendments to regional planning for conformance review immediately after the Sparks Planning Commission's determination. With that said, the Sparks Planning Commission approved the proposal on December 15th, and then prior to becoming effective, the amendment must first be found in conformance with the regional plan, as is the case for each jurisdiction, and if approved by the RPC tonight, the amendment will go to the Sparks City Council for final adoption. Finally, regional planning staff recommends that the proposed amendment to the City of Sparks Comprehensive Plan conforms with the Truckee Meadows Regional Plan. And then on to the review criteria, same as the previous item. Policy RC9 of the regional plan sets the review criteria for a conformance review, again listed on this slide. And we'll go over the analysis on the following slides. The request will include no increase or decrease in residential density, and thus will not change projected housing capacities. Regarding regional form, as noted, the subject site is located in Tier 1, and the proposal is appropriate within this tier. Additionally, the subject site and surrounding area are already developed, and no impacts to the regional form were identified by staff. Finally, City of Sparks has determined that the proposed change is compatible with the surrounding land uses, and regional planning staff concurs with this determination. So we'll take 1 second to identify a correction in this item. In the regional form section on page 21, the last sentence of the second paragraph should say, no impacts. No impacts to regional form were identified, it says, and impacts. So it should say, no impacts. Back to the presentation. In regard to public facilities and services, the site has historically been used for industrial purposes. Additionally, the subject site is located in a developed area where city services are already provided, and infrastructure exists to serve the subject parcel, including potential intensification. And then finally, regarding the regional coordination section, staff found no policies beyond the review criteria considered tonight that were applicable. And then in conclusion, staff is recommending that the proposal conforms with the 2019 regional plan, and the suggested motion is listed on the screen or on page 22 of the packet. This does conclude my presentation. However, TMRPA and City of Sparks staff are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, this is a public hearing item. Is there any disclosure before we open it up to public hearing and public comment? Is there any disclosures by commissioners? Okay. Do we have any public comment?
We have no public comment for this item.
Okay. Questions from commissioners?
I have just one clarification, and if I remember correctly, when we heard this in Sparks, that this was originally zoned industrial, then it went to tourist, and now it's back industrial. I just want to clarify that, correct?
Was Baldini's going to do
Yeah.
something with it? Yeah.
Right, that's just a point of clarification. So you're shaking your head yes, so I'll take that as a yes.
Other questions from commissioners? You do have a commissioner? Okay, but he's ready to make a motion. Okay.
Madam
Before
Chair,
commis- go
I'm
ahead.
ready to make a motion.
Okay,
I move to find the 1845 Glendale Amendment to the City of Sparks Comprehensive Plan in conformance with the 2019 Truckee Meadows Regional Plan based on the findings listed in the staff report.
thank you, Commissioner West. You got in just a millisecond before Commissioner Gower. So,
It's on it. Commissioner Gower will second.
okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Director Smith, item C.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeremy Smith for the record. Item 6C is another regional plan conformance review from the City of Sparks, or for the City of Sparks Comprehensive Plan as well. And for this case, we'll hear from Regional Planner Shawnee Sousa.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Shawnee Sousa, Team RPA for the record. I'm going to be taking you through the City of Sparks Master Plan Amendment for 295 Lillard. So here's an overview for you guys to start. This is a City of Sparks Master Plan land use change on approximately 3.72 acres from tourist commercial to industrial. On the right, you can see the regional form map, and the subject site is in orange. And just to orient you a little bit, if you go east on Interstate 80 and you take the Sparks Boulevard exit, it's pretty close to Wild Island just behind off of Lillard. And for our determination, we ultimately recommended that this master plan amendment conforms with the Truckee Meadows Regional Plan. Here's the review criteria with which most of you are familiar with. Policy RC9 requires that the RPC evaluate this when considering our conformance. I'm going to briefly take you through each of these sections. For population growth, this request includes no increase in residential density, and it will not change projected housing capacities. Next, with regional form, we'll take you through that, and we're going to look at the neighborhood map, which is to your right first. As you can see, I think you can see. Yeah, you can see. It's a little hard today. You can see that it's in Tier 1 land, which is it's number 2 in our priority hierarchy for development. And when you look at regional form, Tier 1 land is where moderate and varying range of development is expected, with the majority of the area within the tier already developed. In regards to policy RF3, there are no limitations associated with non-residential uses, and therefore, this proposal meets the criteria of this policy. Here's the existing and proposed land uses. On the left is that existing. You can see it's red, which is tourist commercial, and the proposal is for industrial. And as you can also see, tourist commercial surrounds the site in addition to industrial. So from a regional perspective, this makes the land use proposal compatible. Then just to get into the intent, it's similar to Chris's case as well. The intent is meant to clean up and allow for the property to be redesignated to a conforming land use, more in line with the past and current use of the property. It had been industrial, and it was changed to tourist commercial. This will just bring it back in line with the comprehensive plan. Then for public facilities and services, as mentioned, the parcel is already developed, and it has an existing warehouse building. It is being served, and Sparks materials already also indicated public facilities and services are available and adequate to serve the site. The request to change land use designation will not impact these services. To the right, you can get a view of the aerial map. As described, the parcel is developed and no natural resource impacts were identified. And finally, for regional coordination, staff has found no applicable policies within regional coordination other than the overarching policy of RC9. The proposed motion is on the screen overhead or on page 37 of your packet. We're available for any questions.
Thank you. Again, this is a public hearing item, but as for disclosure from commissioners, do we have any public comment?
We have no public comment.
Okay, I'll take questions from commissioners. Excuse me. If no questions, our motion is above in your packet.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Gower.
I'm ready to make a motion. I move to find the 295 Lillard Master Plan Amendment to the City of Sparks Comprehensive Plan in conformance with the 2019 Truckee Meadows Regional Plan based upon the findings listed in the staff report.
Commissioner Donchik, I'll second that motion.
Any discussion from commissioners? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We're on to item D of our agenda for our wonderfully scintillating conversation about open meeting law and Robert's Rules of Order.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeremy Smith of the record. Yes, we are the long-awaited next RPC training segment on open meeting law and Robert's Rules of Order. We have Nate Kusha, our policy analyst, to tell us what's up.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. For the record, Nate Kusha, Team RPA. We're going to keep it short and sweet tonight on the training. You're not actually going to do any actual training tonight, but give you the opportunities to go do them yourself. So just as a quick review, because we do have some new commissioners, all RPC members are required to do 12 hours of training to be on the Regional Planning Commission. So up here, you can see that this is our RPC training portal. This is on our website, and tomorrow we will send you a link to this webpage again, so you have easy access to it. So if you go here and take a look, we have our list of the required readings that could take a few hours there, going towards your 12 hours, and then we have a list of other optional materials. Those are at your leisure. You can look over those if you're just interested, and also utilize some of those to hit your 12-hour requirement. Additionally, as you can see in the middle there, we have the button for our self-certification form. So as you go through these materials and rack up some hours, please go into that form. Your name will be listed and track what you did and how many hours you've done. And then if you've done your 12, just note that so that we have a record of who's all been trained. Some of you have already done this, of course, but for our new members again. Like I said, we'll be sending an email so that you have access to this. With that email, we have set up access to the Pool Pack training site. So Director Smith has set everyone up with access, and we'll be sending out an email for you that you can click a link and go ahead and make an account to access this. And there's a lot of courses on here. Please do make that account fairly quickly, as the link will expire in 7 days. So as you get that, just make the account. You don't have to do the training at that point, but just make your account so you have access. You have your username and password set up for that. Once you have access, we have enrolled, or we will have anyways, enrolled each of you in the open meeting law course, as well as the Robert's Rules of Order course. We would ask that you please take the open meeting laws course to familiarize yourself with this material. That one's a little bit shorter. The other course for Robert's Rules of Order is quite a bit longer, we discovered. So if you're interested, please take it, or if you need the hours to hit your 12-hour requirement, please go ahead and utilize that as one of your resources. But all of that will count towards your 12 hours, so if you haven't got there, please do it. That's all. With that, any questions?
Oh, I was so prepared for.
And am I is that all in? I'm glad you put it in an email.
Any questions? Thank you, Nate. Item 7, reports. Number A, members and directors' reports. Do we have anything, questions? Director Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeremy Smith for the record. Thanks for that, Nate, that riveting training segment. You know, we're here to help you. So if you get into the training scenario and you would just like to have some help going through it, just give us a call or shoot us an email, and we'll set up a time to make sure that, we can guide you. And for those of you that have completed your 12 hours, it never hurts to brush up on open meeting law. It's about a 25-minute video course that you watch. So. And in addition, now that we have access to this Pool Pack training e-learning site, there's tons of courses on there, internet security, HR type stuff. So if you're interested in any of it, you should get access to all of it. And if you have any issues accessing that, just give us a buzz. So, okay, thanks for that. A couple of update items. We did have a meeting of the Projects of Regional Significance Subcommittee of this body, and I think we made some progress. We have some basically marching orders to achieve, hoping to get that committee back together to look at the progress we've made on updating the resolution prior to our next month meeting. So sometime in February, we'll try to reconvene that. So I'll be emailing you on that one. And we're working with the RTC. One of the lines of analysis that we're pursuing is traffic count data and a product they have called INRIX, where we're going to identify school locations that are both charter schools, private schools, and WCSD schools, and take a look at the traffic patterns related to the size, the design capacity of the school. So that we want to try to really base any threshold for a PRS guideline around those schools on data that's accurate. So that's what we're doing on that front. We've also started as the first of the year, we always send out an ask for Truckee Meadows annual report data and information. And so I think we're done tinkering with the actual ask. We've changed it over the past few years to try to meet our mandate in state law. And that is to get capital improvement program information in addition to the summary of how the jurisdictions are working to meet the vision and goals and policies of the regional plan. And we added one final thing, which is a request for infrastructure data as part of our public infrastructure plan effort. And in an attempt to minimize the number of times we call the jurisdictions and ask for things, we're looking to get annual updates of data like sewer pipe locations, fee areas, the kind of things that we use to help us forecast future population growth as kind of a suitability analysis. So that's an aspect that we added. We're done tinkering. We're going to keep it the same 3 things every year, hopefully for the next several years. But we'll be keeping you posted on how that's going. We should have an update in the summer to the actual annual report. Natural resources. I had talked about trying to get our outlines drafted and in the review process prior to the end of the year. We just didn't quite make it. We're very close to being able to launch that process, deliver those 30-odd or so outlines by topic in our natural resource plan plans, and get that into the little group meeting so that they can take a look and tell us what we're missing, hopefully, and give us some guidance. And then and we'll give you guys all access to that too. Happy to have any of you weigh in on any of the topic areas, even if you didn't join a specific group, just to get that feedback. We'll be tracking who's editing what, who's suggesting what. And then that will ultimately lead us to, hopefully in the March timeframe, to start drafting the actual chapters, the plan itself, and so that this summer we can get out there and have a plan that the community can vet and we can review and build something good. So that's where we're at on that front. And we'll bring a more substantive update when we have actually gotten those outlines out there. And then finally, on next Thursday, I'm going to be participating at the Nevada Water Resources Association annual conference that's being held here in, I think it's at the Nugget. I better know where it is. But I'll be sitting on a panel and talking about linking land use and water. So kind of germane to some of the conversations we've had previously. And I'll let you know how that goes. And if you want any more information about that, just please shoot me an email. With that, I would just say that our next meeting is in this chamber. Yep, on February 23rd. Thank you. And I will also say that I sent out a calendar invite that went all the way to October, which I think will work. But there is an option we might throw a curveball and try to hold one of these RPC meetings at the new facility at the RTC building, the downstairs boardroom, to see if we can leverage that. It'll be a little easier on us to just do it right in the same building we work in. So we'll keep you posted if we change the venue. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item B, legal counsel report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jessica Prenti for the record. Sorry I could not be there to join you in person tonight, but I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Item 8, request for future items. I do have a couple of items just wondering if there's any, so far have we seen any BDRs that have any impact, and is regional planning tracking any of the process as we start to go into the legislative session? So,
Madam Chair, we are tracking. We have hired a lobbyist, Tom Clark Solutions, and he has provided an initial list. There's not a lot of information about it yet, but I will plan to bring that, what we know in February, back to this body.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, last chance for public comment.
Still none.
No, still none. Any written correspondence?
No, we have none.
Okay. On action to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second? Thank you, we are adjourned.